Sitting here clothed in the sauna because I'm cold. Just got out of the cold plunge and um, watching my kids on the monitor and thinking about the time warp, right? Thinking about the fact that it's mid-January and it feels like it's it feels like it's already been 3 months, and thinking about the time warp on how we've had so many babies in the practice lately, and it's been wonderful because it was like a big part of our intention over the last year was to obviously serve this community in the greatest capacity, obviously help families unwind and heal at the root cause from chronic challenges at all ages and stages of life. But the soul of the practice comes through babies, comes through pregnancy. Chiropractic comes through this understanding and this very tangible evidence of what life is. And and then all of a sudden you blink, and I was talking to Dr. Rain about this, how he's got a 1-year old. It's like, yeah, man, like it is crazy, right? And I turn around and I got two, on the monitor. I got one that's 4, almost 4.5, and I got one that's turning 2. 5 days before Dr. Rain's baby Jack turns 1. And then I was at Jimbo's this weekend, saw one of our amazing moms, and she's got double digits, kiddos, and you blink and you're like, my goodness, like, isn't that also what makes the world go round? Isn't it also like literally that time warp is because so much of our time and intention and energy and focus and every aspect of our lives is focused on, something absolutely a part of us, something that we procreated, but something that is outside of us, that is just what future generations is, right? And I, I'd be remiss if I didn't share, which I shared on the blog, and if you read it, then great. I'll share it in brief here. We did our first workshop, Unraveling Neurodevelopmental Disorders, in a long time. Our first one that was successful in a long time. And we have another in a couple weeks called The Gut-Brain Connection. And we are launching a series of workshops that are leading our community, right, to understand there are root causes to many of the issues that our conventional system normalizes and that our society essentially just breeds. And this amazing mom was just so moved to bring her kids in, and 3 amazing kiddos, amazing mom, doing the thing that moms do, which is research, investigate, test, study, inspire, really, really, really intend upon doing things outside of the system. And in the end, was sharing me just these stories about her kids that are beautiful, beautiful kids. And her daughter, as well, not getting into too much information, her daughter is maturing fast. And I was recently reading a study and reading a post that came through the New York Times that one of our other patients posted into her stories, and it just said, hey, puberty's hitting early and nobody knows why. And it's like, man, that headline alone is one of the big reasons why our conventional system is paralyzed, and they're rather impotent. And it's not because of the things that they can or can't do. It's the way that they look at things, where no one knows why. There's a whole host of reasons why. And it's insane to think that they could promulgate a belief that, man, this major thing is happening in the development of our children, and no one has any clue what the cause could be. And then the mom, a little reflexively just said, hey, and they recommended, and I erroneously assumed that she was going to say birth control. And she said, no, actually, puberty blockers and hormone blockers, and my mouth dropped, my jaw dropped. I've been doing a lot of study or research on this because I've been wondering why the prevailing kind of perspective has become this this outright, just very visible. Like that includes even the military. I am incapable of posting a video of this Navy officer, this Navy lieutenant who's a medical doctor, who's just been seeing trends. He's been seeing trends in his pilots, and how physiologically something's happening. They're getting injured, they're getting hurt, and they're dying, and they can't post. He can't promote this. He got basically punished for sharing this information that's just data from the database. And I interviewed 3 military medical doctors about this exact topic for the end of COVID, and I can't tell you how bad this problem is, where how much the censorship of things that they have always used infrastructure-based technology to track data and track health outcomes. In the end, what we're seeing on the opposite side of that is what is being kind of promulgated. And there is a influencer in the Navy who is also just a trans man, right? Like, or trans woman. I don't know how to totally describe, one way versus the other, but it's a man that wears makeup online. And, he at the same time is being kind of promoted in terms of recruiting. And if you watch the documentary, What is a Woman? Why is this important to me is because we are hearing reports of puberty blockers. We are hearing reports of, these transition surgeries that are largely irreversible. Like the puberty blockers and the drugs, they say once you come off them, and then you can just go back to being, wherever your hormones were. And it's like, that's just not true. And if you look a little bit further, some of these drugs that they recommend now for 8-year-olds for early development are actually the drugs that are used to chemically castrate sex offenders. And this is not my research. This is stuff that I actually screenshotted and put into the blog, because mothers and daughters are often the canaries in the coal mine, right? Just like in 2021, Tiffany Parado, who's a lead author in an amazing study that I also posted into my blog, that talks about COVID and the COVID experience and decidual cast, which some patients in our community have had an experience of. That is a reflection of just the new environmental toxicity that we experience every week or every day, right? As a result of what happened during COVID. This is important because what's coming out next is, so this has been reported for 3 years, that there's something happening to our women, there's something happening to our girls, where Dr. Larry Pilevsky, a 30-year pediatrician, has had children under 2 menstruating. And this is not me making this up. This is us telling the story of what's potentially been happening, because what is the next story that Tiffany is going to be publishing is a story about shedding and transmitting, and what's happening just by being exposed to people who've been, injected by this thing. And in the end, what's important is not to say that that's the only avenue towards early development, but there's, obviously endocrine disruptors and plastics and all sorts of phthalates and all sorts of crazy things that we are more aware of now. And we also know that it's food, even, though, some people may be lactose intolerant. There's other ways that we get hormonal influence that no one ever pays attention to, through regular milk, through hormones that are laden in foods and meats, that largely our water systems are so compromised, where a lot of people throw their birth control down the water. And most people don't realize that if you drink public water, that you're drinking pharmaceuticals, right? All this to say that I'm sitting in a sauna fully clothed right now because I'm watching my kids kind of figure out what they're going to do when they wake up. And I didn't want to disrobe and then put my clothes back on, so I'm a little bit hot. All this to say that we have a detox workshop this weekend. And the 88,000 chemicals that are literally like being sprayed on us throughout our skies every single day, especially now as they're controlling the weather, That is not my research either. That is cloud seeding. That is literally something you look up. San Diego County, Southern California, cloud seeding is how they are aiming to manipulate the weather to change what they would say is a climate problem, but also maybe control the weather so that Tesla can't recharge their batteries and that they can have stay-at-home orders in Rochester, New York, like some of our family does have right now, right? Because the roads are too dangerous. What's the point? The point is that it will always come back to how we navigate these challenges and how we take care of our bodies. And the detox that I'm going to be teaching about this weekend is one of the most effective ways that I've found to heal myself, but also my wife and our family in many ways. And I find it as a foundational way to not only remarkably transform your lifestyle, but support your systems that are key in detoxification, like the gut, like the liver, like the kidneys, like the drainage systems, in a way that's gentle, uncomfortable enough where you actually change, and long enough where you actually see permanent change. And if done on the regular, you can meet the environment in a very, very suitable way that gives you a defense where sometimes we feel a little bit defenseless. It's mid-January. We are off to a fantastic start in many ways in our family, in many ways in our life, and in many ways, especially here at Future Generations. Genuinely love and appreciate you all. Thanks for reading. Please share this. This is a big one. This is really important. And send all your people in. Why? Whether it's our workshops, whether it's our social events, we're going to have a fun movie night right in the corner at the Ritz Theater on Juniper and Grand, and or just straight into our practice. Why? Because our community needs to grow. The aligned community needs to grow. The education that we provide in a gentle, nonviolent, non-confrontational way, but in a very deep, empowering way, is information that radically transforms lives and family trees, and we know it and repeat it every day in the miracles that we experience and see. Love and appreciate you.